Um, Good afternoon. This is Pravit Rojanaphruk from Khaosod English. Today we have the honor of doing a farewell interview with the Israeli ambassador to Thailand, Ms. Orna Sagiv. Ambassador Sagiv is completing her 4 years of the tour of duty in Thailand. Let me just say hello, shalom.
Sawadika, shalom.
And we all know it's probably one of the most difficult times for an Israeli diplomat to be here in Thailand, due to the very fact that when the October 7th, 2023 attack took place in Israel, not just 1,200 people that were killed, but amongst the 1,200 people that were killed were dozens of Thai citizens, Thai workers who've been working in Israel as well. So that's a most difficult time. And subsequently, as you all know, for the first time in a long history that I would recall, we witnessed groups of Thai demonstrators, small but very vocal, denouncing the subsequent occupation or invasion and attack on Gaza Strip. So, well, let's put it this way. The job during this time for Ambassador Sagiv is more than controversial and challenging. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So, Ambassador, thank you for having us here today at the embassy here in Bangkok. Can I start with your recollections, looking back as you're going to be leaving or completing your tour of duty within 2 months' time? What was the highest and lowest points in your time here, during your time here? And I already mentioned October 7, 2023, and the subsequent months and years even now. And just recently, after the strike in Tehran, you had to work from your residence instead of the embassy. The embassy was shut for, I don't know, a week or two. So what was the highest point and the lowest point of your job here in Bangkok?
So thank you. It's always good to see you, Pravit. And I think it's an interesting question because I would say there was more than one high and more than one low.
Right.
You really described the situation here, that the war started and the October 7th massacre occurred and really led Israel to a war that is still going on. But I'll start from the beginning. I arrived here when COVID was still there.
Right.
We arrived to the Phuket sandbox, and for 1 year, COVID was still here in Thailand, everywhere, which was also a new place, but it was a challenge to try and work in such an environment. And then we had 1 year that was, I would say, normal. And then in the past almost 2 years, we've been engaged with the war. And I think that in my, the way I think, or my philosophy, I always try to look at every challenge as an opportunity.
Right.
But the question is how to make this challenge into an opportunity. So definitely the day of the 7th of October 2023, I will never forget. Like I guess most Israelis and many Thais, I would say as well, we will never forget where we were, what we did. And no one could have imagined that it will, that something so horrible would happen. It took us time to understand what was happening there. And I think I was shocked, first of all, from the cruelty, from the barbarity, from the brutality. It was even for us in a country that knows war and terrorism, it was something that I was shocked. And that was definitely a low point. And I think it took me down even more when I realized how many Thais that are not even involved in all of this conflict were influenced, how many Thais were murdered, how many Thais were taken hostage, And I saw from here, from Bangkok, I saw the influence also on their families, on the government, on the people. Everyone were asking me and trying to understand. So definitely that was a very low point. But I think when I look after, like, with the perspective of almost 2 years, of course it is a tragedy, and everything was a tragedy on that day. But I think it also created some sort of a bond, some sort of more understanding. It was in a way, Thai-Israel relations that were close even before, it became even closer. We suddenly shared the same tragedy, the same fate. We realized, both of us, that terrorism doesn't care if you are Thai, if you are Israeli, if you are American or Russian. We are all in the same boat together, and we have to be there together for each other. We have to support each other in those difficult times. And I found the support here. That's why I'm saying it was an opportunity, because I was suddenly also, with all the agony and the tragedy and really the sadness, I was also surrounded by a lot of warmth and support, and people that cared. So that was a little bit heartwarming within all of that craziness around. If you ask about the highest points, for me, we tried quite quickly after October 7th, I think after a few months, to try and go back also to normal activities, not festivals and stuff, but really to help Israeli trade and commercial connections, and trying to push for FTA. And we had, actually that was maybe 2 weeks before the attack, we had an unprecedented event here of 17 Israeli food tech companies that came here and presented their capabilities, because Israel is so very much advanced. We have so many startups that deal with food tech, with cyber, with other things, but we brought those food tech companies, and we held a very big event. I was surprised by the amount of people that were interested and the connections that were created after that. So for me, that was really a high. And apart from that, I truly believe that the role of an ambassador or an embassy is to make connections, to be kind of a bridge. So all the activities we did, kind of people to people, let it be blood test of the people of the embassy during COVID, not blood test, blood donation, sorry, or we went to the area of Korat when it was a flood, and we actually went in water up to here to present support and give some boxes to the people that were affected. Only recently we upgraded and renovated a small school in the suburbs of Bangkok that was about to be closed because they had some safety issues. So we actually renovated it, and now it's a beautiful place the children can play. So at the end, for me, each one of those things, it really warms my heart, and I say this is something that we do together, this is something that we grow, and this grows the friendship, I think, between our two people.
Well, you just mentioned the FTA. I don't know if you might want to dwell a little more, how close it is for both countries to eventually reach an agreement for an FTA. I think the general public are probably normally more focused about what's happening with the EU FTA, but what about Thai and Israel? And secondly, could you update us on the assistance provided to the families of those Thai workers who were killed in Israel, and maybe tell us a bit about the sort of safety issues now particularly for the Thai workers in Israel. Are there any special concerns, or things have more or less returned to normalcy?
So for the FTA, Israel and Thailand for a long time were talking about the FTA, about the possibility, about the options. We have a trade trade balance between our two countries of about $1.4 billion, mostly for the advantage of Thailand. I mean, the numbers are more Thai export. For a long time, it was either the Thai side wanted and we were busy with something else, or the Israeli side wanted and the Thai side was busy with something else. And we actually got to the point that we are very close to begin the negotiations. I believe that the negotiations shouldn't be too complicated. The previous Minister of Commerce, Mr. Pichai, met our Minister of Economy in Davos this year. They agreed to officially start the negotiations this year, and hopefully our minister will arrive here to Thailand soon, and I hope that this will be the kickoff. The two teams have been talking to each other already, in Zoom, by the phone, preparing the basis, and hopefully it will start. I don't think it should take too long.
Right.
It shouldn't be a complicated negotiation the way I see it, and I really think it's going to be beneficial for the business people from both sides. And I saw since the current government started its role that they placed the FTAs very high on their agenda in trying to achieve as many FTAs as possible. And hopefully it will start and be negotiated quite quickly.
Right.
Regarding the workers and the compensation and everything, what most people do not know or did not know is that the Thai workers in Israel and the families of the victims receive the exact same compensation as Israeli citizens. Meaning that although we are not responsible, Israel is not responsible for the Hamas barbaric massacre, but the Israeli national insurance will compensate each and one of the families that were affected, including the widows or the children or the parents or the people themselves that were kidnapped or got injured. The same goes for Thai people. So as of now, all the Thai people that were affected, they receive, either them or their families receive the compensation. They need to come here to the embassy once a year. It's kind of a proof of living that they are alive. We are also trying to find solutions for people that they are unable to come because they are old or they have any physical issues. They cannot come physically. We try to find solutions for that as well. It was super important for us here at the embassy to find the solutions because we realized that the person that was a victim in Israel, he was the main bread maker for his family. He was the one supporting sometimes the parents, the brothers, the children, the wife. So we wanted to do it as quickly as possible.
Right.
So we were working very quickly with the Israeli side and telling them you have to really put the Thais on top of the agenda. And really the Thai people were among the first ones to start receiving the compensations. Also, we realized that some of the paperwork is different here. We, as the embassy, did everything we could to make sure they receive it. Apart from that, it was super. I think that for the families, it's not only about the money.
Right.
It's about the fact that their loved ones went to a very remote, faraway country and he never came back. So we want to tell them, you are not alone. We see you, we care about you, and you are not alone. So that was the reason why I myself, with my team, we visited almost each and every one of the 46 families. In fact, we visited 44 families, and we will visit the rest, I hope, soon, because we wanted to sit with them, to hug them, and to tell them, unfortunately, now you are part of the grief family in Israel, and we will always be there for you. You will never feel alone. And if you have issues, problems, questions, or you just need to know that you are part of something bigger, you need to know that we are with you. And I think that at the end, again, it's the people to people. When you look to people at the eye, when I hugged people, I feel that it doesn't matter, you are Thai, I'm Israeli, but we share the same grief. We both shared the same tragedy, and it was important for me.
Right. Now, subsequently, as I mentioned at the beginning, Israel launched an attack, invaded the Gaza Strip, and that led to an ongoing humanitarian crisis, at least according to the United Nations and many Western governments. I, I mean, how would you defend the fact that many times more people have, as a result, been killed, including civilians, in Gaza since the October 7th, 2023? The allegations go as far as accusing your government of being a genocidal government. I'm sure you have heard those sort of allegations. How would you defend that? And could you tell us how many people, on the other hand, have been killed or died so far in Gaza since the Israeli military attack or operations in Gaza? And where is the light at the end of the tunnel? Do you even think that this situation will end within the next few months, or this will drag on for years to come?
It's a good question, and I know that people around the world, some of them have been asking the same question. I would start by saying that on 6th of October 2023, there was no war. Israel did not operate in Gaza. Israel did not have to, retaliate. There was nothing. It was a quiet Friday, and nothing special was about this day. What happened on the 7th of October was the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. In the Holocaust, the Jewish people lost 6 million people. Today, we have our own country. At that time, we didn't have our own country. Today, we have a strong army. And yes, what happened on the 7th of October surprised us. But for us, when we said never again after the Holocaust, we also say never again after what happened on October 7th. We cannot allow it to happen again. When Hamas started this attack on Israel, I'm sure that they took into consideration that Israel will react. Now, the difference between Israel and Hamas is that Hamas is targeting civilians. His targets, if you see who are the people that they killed and murdered, it's children in their beds, old people, women, men, even soldiers that were lying in their beds and sleeping. These are the people that were specifically targeted by Hamas. Israel is not operating like that. Israel, since the beginning of the war, have been calling civilians to move away from areas that are going to be bombarded. Although it could have cost us, that also the terrorists left with them. We try to push the civilians away from the places where Hamas has been hiding, because they are still hiding there today. What we discovered under the streets of Gaza was an amazing, it was like another city that is there in the tunnels. What we discovered is, I don't know how many missiles and how much munition and weapons and everything. And I'm asking all the people that criticize Israel today, what would you have done if you were in our shoes? What would you have demanded from your government? Should we just, do one strike or two strike and after 1 or 2 months come back and wait for the next time? Because you have to listen very carefully to Hamas. Hamas is not saying today, okay, we made a mistake, we are so sorry for that, and we will never do that again. We learned the lesson and we will... No. What they say is, we are patient. We haven't finished the job and we will be back to kill you all because you have no right to exist. So what are we supposed to do? To sit and wait for them? We believe them. We believe them because they mean what they say. Another thing that Hamas has been doing, and all the allegations that you just mentioned, they are very cynical, because Hamas, not only that he is committing a war crime by using, they are targeting at civilians, they are also having a second war crime of using the Palestinians as human shields for them, using our hostages as human shields for them. Hamas doesn't want them to leave. Hamas also doesn't want them to receive the humanitarian aid, because if Palestinians in Gaza today receive the humanitarian aid from international organizations, what is the role of Hamas? So Hamas has been stealing most of the trucks of the food and all the humanitarian aid. Hamas has been shooting people at those humanitarian aid where they receive the humanitarian aid. So Hamas has been really cynical. And for me, I'm sorry that some people in the world just do not see it. And they only come to Israel and say, Israel does not allow humanitarian aid. This is not true. Since day one, although there was a lot of internal domestic criticism on the government, a lot of humanitarian aid, food, water, oil, everything came into the Gaza Strip from all sorts of ways. So what I'm saying is, we don't want to hurt civilians, but the way Hamas has been operating, even today, from within civilian areas, from within hospitals, from within schools, it becomes a target. And then people are just, in the crossfire because they are being used by Hamas as human shields. We don't target civilians, and we hope we can finish this war. You asked about when will it be over. I wish it will be over tomorrow. Hamas is still holding 50 hostages. 2 of them, by the way, are the bodies of Thai people. About 20 of those 50 survived somehow for almost 700 days in the tunnels of Hamas. Isn't it time to bring them home? Isn't it time to bring also all the bodies to burial properly in your country, in our country? But Hamas keep refusing. He keeps saying, yes, we accept the Witkoff plan, and then changes everything 180 degrees. So it is easy to come and blame Israel. And this is why I said we are not going to apologize for being able to exist, for being able to have, like today, a military that can protect the people of our country. But look what happened. I will just conclude by saying, look what happened since October 7th. We were attacked by 7 fronts. We were attacked by Hezbollah and from Syria and from Iraq and the Houthis and 2 groups from Hamas and from Iran, 2 times like directly and another one really in the war. So what are we supposed to do? To sit and wait? We won't.
Now, if you read accounts coming from the United Nations, the UN seems to paint a rather different picture as to how humanitarian aid, are being blocked. I think that's the word, and that the men, not only men, but women and children are also being killed as a result. I mean, do we, as a Thai, as a non-Israeli, do we not or should we not trust what the United Nations is reporting about what's happening in the Gaza Strip? Back to the same questions, Ambassador Sagiv, do you keep an account on, or even sort of mentally sort of put it in your mind as to how many people have been killed so far since Israel retaliated militarily in Gaza?
Let me start by saying that when I look at the numbers mainly, I know that we lost over almost 900 soldiers on the Israeli side. We lost almost 2,000 people since the beginning, since October 7th. I don't have the exact number of the other side, and I think that there are a lot of numbers. Some of them are completely incorrect, and they are counting, it is people that they count as civilians. They are not civilians, and they are not so innocent. So I don't want to go into numbers of the other side, but the fact is, you mentioned that people are being killed. Yes, they are being killed because they are being cynically used by Hamas in most cases to tell you that a war is completely, it's not an operation room. I wish it could be completely sterile, but I think that the fact that Hamas continues with this war and he's relentlessly, disagree to any suggestion that comes and says, bring back the hostages, Israel will do this and that, keep refusing to everything, he needs to be accountable. And he is accountable to the fact, listen to the people of Gaza, those that are not so very much afraid. And some of the Arab news, they actually portray them. Listen to what they say. Yes, I cannot tell you they love Israel, but they hate the Hamas. They realize that the Hamas is the one that made the life in Gaza a tragedy for them. And they blame the Hamas, not us. It's the people over there that blame the Hamas. Now you ask the UN, and allow me not to take everything that the UN says today as the Holy Bible. Since the beginning of the war in Gaza, the UN, and I saw a lot of facts, the way they treated the Israeli women that were sexually assaulted, that were brutally murdered and raped and everything. And then you see reports of the UN that only speaks about the suffering of the Palestinian women. So please, I don't want to speak about the UN. They can publish whatever they want. And I tell you that not everything is 100% correct. And I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Right, and the figure provided by the Palestinian Authority, which stands at about over 58,000 people killed since the retaliation by Israel, by your government, by the IDF. Do you think this number is...
I don't know, as I told you...
And they say, half of them are women and children, so...
I don't know. Again, I don't want to say something that I don't know for sure, but what I do know is that the Palestinian numbers are, in most cases, not very accurate. And many times they count, in their countings, they don't say he's a terrorist or he...
Right.
For them, everyone is innocent civilians. Again, I wish there was no one that is uninvolved that would have been killed. But it is a war. And sometimes because these people are used by Hamas, because Hamas does not allow them to move to safer areas, because Hamas does not even allow them to use those tunnels that he built in order to have cover from the war or something, the numbers, they are there. I will not ignore and say, nobody got killed. But I can tell you 100%, we do not target at children, at women, at people that are uninvolved. We target terrorists. And still, you can see that in the past 2-3 months, we had so many soldiers in Israel, in Gaza, that were killed by Hamas. They were not killed by, nobody. They were killed by anti-tanks missiles, by, side road shells that exploded. So to portray the whole Gazan population today as uninvolved, just sitting there and bombs are falling on them, it is highly incorrect. And we need to remember that there are still many terrorists there. And when we started this war, when we were forced, I would say, into this war, we said a few things. What is the goal? First of all, Hamas can no longer govern Gaza. They are still governing Gaza. Hamas can no longer have weapons. They cannot rebuild their military capability. They still are. And we have to bring back all the hostages. We still have 50 hostages. So none of those targets or the goals were actually achieved at this point. And Hamas keeps fighting. So as long as they keep fighting, we will react because we cannot take a chance. And you have to understand the distance. Only the other week there was a big clash in one of the places that you can see it from the border. So what, are we supposed to just sit there and wait for the next time they decide to invade or the next time they decide to send another missile and another missile? I think these times are over. We learned our lesson on October 7th.
Let me move a little further into the neighboring countries, the ASEAN regions. And correct me if I'm wrong, Israel is not recognized by some of the ASEAN member states, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. So 3 countries. And since the retaliations by your government, the IDF, we have seen unprecedented wave of call for boycotting of not just Israeli products, but American companies that Malaysians or Indonesians believe that are supporting your government, particularly the actions in the Gaza Strip. Do you think that half of ASEAN and Indonesia has like a much bigger population, more than twice of Thailand, and combine that with Malaysia and Brunei, and even I've been to Singapore a few times. Even Singapore, there's a significant undercurrent, sort of an anti-Israel sentiment, particularly amongst the Malay and Muslim populations of Singapore. Do you think half of ASEAN is lost in terms of the, if we look at it as a battle for the heart and minds of the international community, particularly in this part of the world, don't you think that it's a lost battle, that they now, really feel strongly against Israel? And, back to Thailand, I'll combine 2 questions into one. While a good number of Thai were bonded by that tragedy, that cruelty, that barbarity unleashed by Hamas on October 7, 2023. On the other hand, we see some Thais for the first time in, I would not even recall, in a very long time, coming out onto the streets of Bangkok. There are not many, but they denounce your government. They denounce the government which clearly supported Israel. That includes, I think, the United States or U.S. government. So where is this battle to win the hearts and minds of the public, both, in that part of ASEAN as well as in Thailand? I mean, are you concerned about, say, not being able to really talk with some MPs, Thai MPs, simply because they don't want to talk to you, simply because they're Muslim, or simply because they disagree with what your government is doing? Is that a very big challenge, and how do you see the challenge?
So let me separate between Thailand and the rest of ASEAN or the Muslim countries of ASEAN. Starting by Thailand, I think that I've been here for 4 years, and I can count maybe on one hand the people that say that even before the war, nothing to do with the war, that we don't want to see the Israeli ambassador. Okay, we don't want to see.
Could you be a little more? I don't want to name, but what sort of sector? Are we talking about politicians or?
I don't want to go into sectors, but I would say, okay. I would say altogether, not too many, maybe 4 or 5 people that said. And some people that I was surprised that they were ready to meet me, and we can disagree, but we can talk. And that makes sense. And I don't think that you need to boycott anyone. Now, you're talking about the demonstrations. For years, like once or twice a year, there is a demonstration here downstairs. People come here, they get money, get money for participating, they get food, they should go with the flags, and they leave. So even those, some of the demonstrations that were here in the Siam Center and other places, many of them are also foreigners, they're not even Thai, and the numbers are so small that it's a democracy, it's a democratic country. People have the right to disagree with me, and it's their right to, if they just have a quiet demonstration, okay. I think I would be naive to think that everyone will always agree with me, and if I just tell them the truth, they will take it and they will accept it. But on the other hand, I think that when you speak with people here, and people that are reasonable, they understand that the truth is not so simple, and you cannot just simplify everything to slogans and to say from the I don't know. It doesn't matter. All of those slogans, I would say, irrelevant. and very simplified. It doesn't really, you cannot have an intellectual disagreement with someone when you speak in slogans. So, okay, people want to, I think that everyone looks, even here in Thailand, at those demonstrations with a grain of salt. It's not, you don't see hundreds of thousands of people on the streets, demonstrating. And I think that my job and what I'm trying to say is that it is complicated, and our situation on that part of the world, excuse me for wanting to survive. Excuse me for not accepting the fact that there are people around me that only want to kill me and to kill all of us and to throw us all to the sea. And they have a very detailed plan for that. And they stand like Iran on the stage of the UN and openly saying that. And I don't hear all of those people that criticize Israel criticize Iran and the leaders for saying, how come you stand on the stage of the UN and you call for the destruction of another country? I don't hear them, those people. So excuse us for not wanting to die and for being able to defend ourselves. So this is one thing I think that we need to take it with, to put it in proportions. People want to demonstrate, they can demonstrate. I don't think there is, I see that the business with Israel continues, investments continue, the good relations on government level continues, people to people continues, culture continues. So, okay, some people think differently, they can think differently, it's okay. And I really accept it, that's the way it should be in a democracy. Moving to ASEAN, Israel for many years have been trying to get closer to ASEAN as an organization. I think that we have a lot to offer when we talk about agriculture, when we talk about sustainability, about water solutions. Israel has been one of the top leaders in the world today about cyber attacks, and we are ready to share our experience with ASEAN countries. We are ready to have some sort of partnership or dialogue partner, or I don't know, something with ASEAN. And for many years we've approached ASEAN, but there was always this, the Muslim bloc, I would say, that doesn't want it. So we work with the countries separately. I would say that I think that things will change, hopefully. I listened to President Trump. He wants to create a new Middle East in a way, to create more partnerships, to have more of the Abraham Accords. And like we have today, the relations we have with the UAE, with Bahrain, with Morocco, if we can enlarge this circle, I don't see a reason why the Muslim countries, or at least some of them here in ASEAN, will not join. I don't see a reason why they don't join the circle of peace as well. So I think there are many benefits to be to have some sort of a dialogue with Israel. And I think that the day it happens, it will create a completely different atmosphere at the region. We already have some business happening with those countries, but it can grow, it can be much more open. Hopefully we can see embassies. And yes, I think that sometimes you have disagreements with some countries. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have diplomatic relations and that you have one role of only criticizing. The world is much more complex. The world is not so simple that I'm either black or white and that's it. And I really hope that the ASEAN Muslim countries that you mentioned will soon, we will find a way to get closer, because I don't see any reason in the world why we cannot have diplomatic relations with Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei.
Just winding up the interview, but I still have 2 or 3 questions. Let me just dawn to me and talk about the supposedly unruly Israeli tourists. And I recall that you had to go up to Pai in Mae Hong Son province, and I think the then Deputy Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul was also there. Is it done now? It's not on the news now. Is it solved? Or do you think some Thais have and disproportionate negative stereotypes of Israeli tourists or travelers or visitors?
I'll start by saying that Thailand is now a very attractive tourist destination for Israelis. I know that Thailand wants to have more and more tourists, and I'll give you the numbers. Before COVID, we had 200,000 Israelis visiting in Thailand every year. Out of 10 million, we are 200,000. End of 2024, 300,000. I just checked last week, and for the first 6 months of 2025, we had more than 187,000 Israelis visiting here. Meaning that if this trend continues, I think by the end of this year, we will be very close to 400,000 Israelis. Out of 400 or 300,000 Israelis, like, you know, tourists from any country, you will have some people that misbehave. And I know that because I know about other cases. What I also know that there are the same forces that you mentioned before are also working against Israel on the social media and trying. I see them on social media, and I see the way they react, and I see what they write, and I see the conspiracy theories that they are, you know, sending all around. And this was part of whatever happened in Pai. I saw when I went there, I saw many other and there was a lot of police there and everything. I saw many other tourists misbehaving, drinking a lot. I did not see Israelis misbehaving. I saw others. And I understand that now it is very trendy to look for the Israelis and say they are misbehaving, and she said this, and he said, and he didn't pay, and she. Every small thing or incident that happens becomes huge and being kind of all over. So I would say Israelis love Thailand. They come here in very large number. And the reason I say the numbers, because most of them, you don't hear anything bad about them. They come, they enjoy, they are big spenders also. I hope, and you know, for us as the embassy, we are doing everything we can to make sure that Israelis know how to behave, to understand that the cultures are different, and sometimes because of cultural differences, people react differently, and you have to behave as a guest. So we are trying also to send the messages, but I would say it was completely out of proportion, and hopefully, ups and downs, but most of the time it's quiet now.
Right. I just have to ask this question because it just came in, you know, just not that many hours ago. So the ICC have rejected an appeal that your Prime Minister Netanyahu, be removed from the arrest warrant list for his role in Gaza. And what do you make of that? And the fact that just yesterday and the day before yesterday, Damascus was attacked by your government, the airstrike, which includes an attack on the defense ministry in Damascus, in Syria. And there are people who feel as if, and okay, you combine that with what happened between Israel and Iran over the past month, right? And people feel that it seems Israel is operating with impunity, that they flaunt international law and all that. I mean, as an ambassador, how do you, is Israel now declaring war with most of its neighbor? Of course, I know you're in good term, relatively good term with the Egyptian down south, but what is going on? Yeah.
Look, as I said, we were attacked on the 7th of October from 7 fronts. And we realized that the Iranians, using their proxies, were trying to build this belt of fire around us. And you know, the big plan of Iran was that on the due date, all of those proxy organizations together will start firing missiles against Israel and infiltrate to the country. You can just imagine, you can just think about October 7th and imagine what, God forbid, could have happened if that plan would have actually happened of Iran. So yes, on 7th of October, things have changed, and we realized that we cannot accept this situation of, knowing that something is happening and just saying, okay, it is quiet, let's leave it like that. Now, with Syria, what happened is that we have in Israel, we have a group called Druze. Those Jews are loyal to the state of Israel, and the Druze are dispersed in other countries around the Middle East, not only in Israel. These people that are soldiers in the Israeli military, they are part of Israel, like they are Israelis. They look just over the border, and they see their families, their brothers, their sisters being slaughtered by the Bedouins, supported by the government of Syria. So Israel could just not let it happen. It's not because we need war all over and we want war with Syria, no. But when you have allies and you have your people that are fighting with you, at the moment that they are at the lowest, you cannot just tell them, oh, what can we do? It is happening in another country. And also you can realize that those are jihadists, and you can see some of those people on their uniform. They have the Daesh, the ISIS, the symbols and everything. So who are these people? These people that are being attacked are people that are dangerous. We cannot afford having them on our border. They have to be moved from the border, and we cannot look at the way they slaughtered the Druze, and they slaughtered over 200 people there, and just allow it to happen. So I think, in a way, the world should say, Israel is acting as what Israel expects of others. We expect others to come and stand with us when we are in a difficult point. So how can we stand by and look at those people being slaughtered and just say, okay, they are not our problem? So yes, I think that it is a very complicated situation. It's very complex. You cannot look at the situation and say, okay, Israel is bad, all the rest are good. Because we always say, with all of those proxy organizations and others, and headed by Iran, for them, Israel is first, but the West is next, and the rest is later. All of us, we are all infidels, we are not good Muslims, and even the Muslims, not all of them are good Muslims because they are not Shia enough, or they are not. So yes, we are the first ones, but just look to the future. This is those regimes, and I don't think that any country should just stand by. In a way, Israel is doing the work today for many other countries as well.
Well, I'll give you the opportunity, Ambassador Sagiv, to give the last words, since you'll be departing soon, something about Thailand, and maybe a bit about your future career back in Israel. And by the way, we have contacted the Iranian ambassador or embassies a few times, and they're still indisposed. But if we've been running some of the press release criticizing Israel as well, and we will continue to do maintain the bridges with both embassies. Last words about Thailand now. When are you seeing His Majesty? Is that soon?
We still haven't received the date. I think that for me, Thailand has been a very unique experience. When I arrived here as an ambassador, it was not the first time that I visited here. The first time I came to Thailand was as a backpacker 35 years ago. And on the one hand, I see that Thailand has changed a lot, but the people haven't. And it was a very unique experience for me to live here, to find new friends, to sometimes answer difficult questions, but always to be treated fairly. That was my sense. I found that Thailand really is if I'm using the cliche, Thailand really came into my heart. I know that it will never come out of my heart, and Thailand will always be a place that I want to return. And I'm sure I will be back, probably not as an ambassador, or for sure not as an ambassador, but just to come and enjoy your beautiful country. And although it hasn't been an easy journey, I have to admit, I also found the time to enjoy Thailand, and I know beautiful places that I'll be very happy to come back. And I wish Thailand and Israel all the very best in the future. I know that I'm just another small part of the long chain, and I know that I did whatever I could to bring our two countries closer together. And I hope and I know that in the future it will get even closer and closer and closer. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, with that note, I thank you very much as well,
Thank you.
Ambassador Orna
Thank you.
Sagiv, and
Thank you.
the best for your future career. And
you.
we hope there will be peace sooner than later in the region as well as you go back home. So this is Pravit Rojanaphruk with Israeli Ambassador to Thailand, Excellency Orna Sagiv, saying goodbye and see you again in some future interview on Khaosod English.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Sorry.